I'm Alli. I came out after 20 years of marriage, and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melisa, and I have 2 kids, and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles. Welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles. It won't be the same without you here live at my dining room table.
I know. I do love our vibe when we're together.
I know. Maybe we could do it this... Are you... Oh, no. I have you for a minute tomorrow, but then I lose you.
I know. I wanted to knock this out so I didn't have to edit this weekend.
Yeah, You're going to be busy.
I've got big plans this weekend. I won't say anything yet.
Okay, we don't want to jinx it.
Fun plans.
We don't want to jinx it. No. She's probably listening. We don't want to give her a big head. We're not excited. Reel it in. Yeah, we don't care that you're coming. We're way too cool for that.
It's fine.
We don't care.
Fine.
Everything's fine. But yeah, we had it turned out so fun Friday night.
I know. We had a blast on Friday night this past weekend. If anyone checked out our video on the Lesbian Chronicles stories of when we were trying to take a group picture and it was just like herding cats.
What's really great, though, to me is that somehow, like this, first of all, we've cultivated this kick-ass group of women that I'm like, most of you I've known, but some of you are new friends that I'm like obsessed with. I think everyone's awesome. But it's also like you guys are indulging me by coming to me so I don't have to go out.
No, I mean, I was just thinking about this. I'm like, you've got a great little house there.
Thank you.
In Kirkwood now. Like, there's a bunch of other people that live in that same area.
Makes it really easy.
And your entertaining space is like perfect.
Thank you.
Like it didn't feel cramped at all because I don't even know how many people we had there.
I think it was like 20.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like that.
I've got all these ideas too because now I'm like, God, if they're willing to come here, this really makes things easier for me because you know me, I hate going outside the 2-mile bubble. Uh-huh. And I was thinking like this fall, we should do a thing where it's like we cook, people bring stuff to cook out and we like cook out monthly. And like be outside by the fire and like there's so much good stuff that we have with this group that can happen. Yeah. Because there's always a willing.
And I think it's awesome too, because I think, you know, a few of us are going through breakups, have gone through recent breakups. And one of the biggest fears I found that I feel when I'm going through a breakup is the loss of like the friendship group.
Yeah.
Because it does get like dismantled in some kind of way.
Sure.
And you're kind of like, what's going to happen?
And what's my part? Yeah. And do they like her more than me? And am I going to be included?
Right. And even if there's like no bad blood between you, you still need to take time apart. And like, there's just a time where you can't all be together. And so to see like that we've built this group of really great women to just come out and be like, supportive and fun and all this stuff. It's like, it's really uplifting.
It is uplifting. And one of the new friends in the group, I won't say her name, but she DM'd or texted me and she was like, I heard Friday's happening. May I come? Basically. I mean, I don't know how she said it, but I was like, oh my God, I assumed you were. Of course you're coming. But I thought like, God, it made me feel so good that she could be that. She trusted me to be that vulnerable to say, am I included, basically? Yeah. And my response to her was, you are included every time, no matter what. If I'm doing it, come do it. Yeah. Like, it's not even like this group is just so good in that way, which is, I think, why I've been really protective about us bringing in people that we're like maybe romantically interested in. Because it's like, then it gets like right now, it's a platonic group. Like nobody's into anyone. It's just like this cool group of women that are just like want to have drinks together and have great conversations versus you start throwing in. I mean, it's fun to have a flirtation, but it's like there's no one yet wrecking our vibe.
Right. And I think that's like a big takeaway that we had from group. Remember that was like the rule established that there was no dating within group. And I think that's just like such a solid thing because not only is it like keeping things like, you know, keeping the drama out of it all, but also it is allowing you to get to know other people on a friendship basis. Yeah. And if something more grows there, then you know you have a solid foundation.
Great.
It's not just some, you know, lustful thing that happens one night.
It's so true. My mind though is always like, I'm always like thinking about people. I've told you this before, but like I'm always like thinking to myself, would I be interested in this adult woman? Like, would I think that she's cool here? If she stayed the night tonight, what would that make me feel like? Or like, I'm always asking myself those questions. And everybody in the room is amazing. Like, there'd be no one that everyone's great in every way, it feels like.
Right.
But it's still like I've managed to not go that direction. Like I don't know. It was like set up from the beginning, I guess.
And I think everyone's kind of like aware of those like boundaries there.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
This is not like a makeout party.
No, not yet anyway.
Not just wait. We'll film that too.
There's a few I've got my eye on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so yeah, I feel really grateful. And I heard, I got a little feedback the next day that my playlist wasn't long enough and that it was doing some repeats. So I'm going to take that into consideration.
I did not notice.
But I think I pride myself on the music. And I think I never dreamed I'd keep you guys here this long because I thought for sure you'd be desperate for Second Friday.
I know. I was having a blast.
My playlist reflected what I anticipated would happen. So I'm going to fix that.
Yeah, we did stick around for quite a while. That's for sure.
Yeah. But
Second Friday was fun too. I really liked the basement so much. Like,
yeah, I
hope they go back to that venue again. Although I didn't realize they were going to be letting like the regular folk in. So I was like, what is this?
Wait, what's happening? Yeah,
right.
I even danced on a table, kind of a table. I really was on a platform. I was really out of my comfort zone.
I'm like, where's Alli? Oh,
there she is. Nobody would know to look for me there.
How could I miss her?
Nobody would have expected that. Anyway, it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for forcing me out.
I mean, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. It actually didn't wreck me either. Like I had a little bit of a headache, but I wasn't horrible.
Yeah. I mean, I stuck to beer that night, which I've been trying not to drink as much beer the past several months because I'm just like, I can feel it the next day, like on my body.
Right. I know.
But it is just like so much easier, like to not get like overly intoxicated with drinking beer. Like,
I know.
Especially some of these bars, they pour so heavy. Like, I know, what a fucking wild complaint to make.
I know. We're getting old. You know you're old when you say the bars pour is too heavy.
They pour so heavy, but it's true.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't like to drink a lot. Like, I hate that. I need to find a drink that's like, my neighbors in Oakhurst, we all drank ranch waters. Like, that was like a very common drink. I don't even know what's in it, but that was like the thing that when people came over, everybody wanted. And I feel like that's probably what I need to do again because it's like light. I don't know. It just feels refreshing. I never felt fat the next day. It's
tequila, fresh lime, and sparkling water.
Okay. So maybe.
But there's also like brands of that, like Topo Chico.
Yeah, that's Topo Chico. And then we did, tequila. I'm going to get some of that for tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. I never know how I'm going to do with tequila. Sometimes it makes me like want to take a nap like immediately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting.
I sleep really good for about 5 hours and then I wake up.
That's me. I fall hard and then my parents have been here all week. They just left. They were great, but I feel like a little like low level anxiety when they're here. And I'm sure it's just, I don't know why, but I kept waking up like at 5 a.m. I'd be up like down here working because I just couldn't sleep.
Did they stay at your house?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. For a week.
That's a lot.
I know. Well, they were here, I guess, Monday through Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're so helpful. Like they did help me with the house. They did a million things. My mom's like running all over, cooking every night, grocery shopping. Like they're great. But it's just like this, I don't know. Like I know they know everything I'm going through. So they do ask a lot of questions and they want to like know the plan and what's happening. And it's like, I don't even know what's happening.
I know. Like my mom was the same way. I finally like opened up to her a little bit like last week. I felt like I was in a good enough space to like kind of fill her in on stuff. But I'm like, I don't know. It's one of those things like as it's happening, she's not a person I can like express it to.
I know.
In the moment. Like I'll get there, you know.
I wonder though too, like if it's because I told them like, I'm fine. You guys need to like, not worry. I'm definitely okay. Like I'm actually excited. Like I'm starting to get to the excited phase of hopeful and all these things. But, I wonder when my daughter still will tell me hard, like kind of dark things. And I don't remember ever telling my mom. Like, I wonder if she'll get older and like stop telling me stuff.
I don't think she will because I think you've already established that like safety.
But did you, when you were little, tell your mom Like, I didn't either.
No, I only told her stuff if I absolutely had to.
Yeah, like, I'm been busted. It's going to get out. I've got to tell her. Yeah, same.
I've got to tell her. And I would write a letter.
Yeah, and then leave.
Because I like could not physically like say stuff sometimes. So it's just like, but I've given that same option to my daughter and been like, listen, I know that sometimes it's hard to say stuff. Like, feel free to write it down and we can talk about it from there. You know?
The truth is like, but I underestimate them because when I do say things, they're like the best. Like there's never judgment. I can tell on their faces they're worried, but they're always like, oh my God, we've got you. Like, what do you need from us right now? Dad and I'll do anything. Like, let us help. Yeah. I always underestimate their ability to be helpful.
And be like mature.
Yeah. Like they're not.
Just this morning, Kaylin's like asking me about details of our divorce as I'm driving her to school. She's like, so how old were we when you and Dad got divorced? Just like, but this is a lot for 7
a.m. I know, right? Oh my God.
But I don't know. I'm like, I'm open to talking about all this stuff, you know?
Me too.
We did talk a lot about it, but I was just like, listen, like, I get it. You were so little. Of course you don't remember.
Yeah. No, it's
like
true.
How it all unfolded.
And it's also like, I've told my kids, like, there's nothing off limits here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had to hear things where I've literally had to contort my face from not reacting in like a scared or bad way or like my jaw dropping because they say it all.
Yeah. And like, I have told my kids, because I know how, like, especially with Kaylin going into middle school, there's so much like terms that come out in conversation where you're just like, what is a virgin mean?
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
And it's like, you don't want to be the kid that is like asking that to your friends and like, get embarrassed. So I told them, like, listen, you can ask me anything and I will tell you, because I'm going to give you the right version and you might get like some skewed version from your friend. And the other day, Kaylin goes, what does horny mean?
Oh God, I hate that.
And I'm
word
like, I
so
take a
much.
beat and then I start explaining and she goes, corny.
Oh my.
And I was like, no.
No way. She said corny. She's like, what's wrong with you, Mom?
I know.
You're disgusting.
The thing is, I'm like, she must know what horny is. If
because she corrected you. That's hilarious. Oh my God. Wait, what grade is she in?
She's in the 6th grade.
Okay, yeah, she's a year younger than Reed, but more mature, so I'm sure she knows what that is.
Yeah, I was like, ugh. And they've watched every episode of The Simpsons now, and we just moved on to Bob's Burgers, and I've realized that's even more advanced than The Simpsons, more so than I thought, so I might reel back in on that one. That one's a little bit much.
Your kids are so good. I wouldn't even worry.
I mean, I'm not, but I'm also like some topics, I don't know. But I also did, I think I mentioned this on the podcast last week. I can't remember that I bought Kaylin some books that like modern day, like sex talk books. And she looked at me like,
like put the brakes
on. And I was like, I'm not telling you to read these tonight.
Yeah.
But they're here when you want to read them.
Yeah. I think it's so good. Yeah. Mine said nothing. I knew nothing.
And when you know nothing, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous on so many levels because it's also like you don't want to be the girl that's, again, like just having bad sex the rest of your life because you don't know any better of how it should be.
Because your friends never had a circle jerk with the vibrator.
Your friends never had a circle jerk. Exactly. I'm sorry for you guys, but listen, I went into it knowing this. You can do better than this. I went into it knowing you can do better than this.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're not stopping till you do better. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's terrible.
You were mentioning though earlier before we started recording how like much more open to different things that your daughter is.
Yeah, so like there's this idea that like we're these adults, like I'm progressive, I'm a liberal, I'm all these things, but like my daughter is radical. Like in all the ways. Owen is pretty radical too. He's not as radical as she is. But it's like it is an interesting idea that like you're living with, I'm this mom who's like grew up in the 70s and 80s, 90s, and I'm living with this like very radical person. And in some ways she's learning from me, but I'm learning probably a lot more from her on things that I thought, even just the way girls dress. I used to think like, oh my God, that girl's dressing so slutty or something, or like back in the day, Tate's like, what? Like she corrects me on so many levels that it's like you grow and learn from these kids who are so radically different from you, even in this way of sexuality. I mean, she does what she wants, when she wants, with who she wants. She doesn't even give it another thought. And it's just like doesn't shave her armpits. Like she's just like, I'm not doing anything for the patriarchy. I'm comfortable in my skin and this is who I am. And if tomorrow I'm attracted to her, that's who's getting my attention tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to feel Saturday.
And that's so opposite of like,
it's so opposite of us.
What I grew up. I mean, I think part of it is that I grew up in the South.
Yeah.
And like, I see it still with people in this part of the country where, especially like, for instance, I'm on TikTok. I'm on like Alabama Rush TikTok right now. Okay. And I'm seeing all these girls that are like dressed up for like Rush Day to try to get in a sorority.
Yeah,
and
it's like,
look
what?
Like carbon copies of each other.
Right.
And I'm like, this is what I went to college with. You know, of course I didn't feel like I had the freedom to be who I was and had to like conform.
Yeah,
now I probably was considered radical to them because I wasn't doing all those things. I refused to rush. And,
you were probably radical to them.
Like, but meanwhile, I mean, I still did care about being accepted and having friends and all this stuff.
I think, don't we all have like a little bit of a primal need for love and connection?
It's at the core of us. Yeah. You know? But yeah, it's like, there wasn't that freedom. Like I would have been terrified to be like, oh yeah, I hooked up with a woman last night.
Totally.
If I had said that in college, I would have been so scared that I would lose like every single friend I had.
And even though it is like a different time, I'm with you. I never would have. But it's a different time, but it's still like interesting. She's more radical than most 20-year-olds I know, but it is interesting that it's like when she's here and we're together, we are like, couldn't be more polar opposite human beings, even though we're the same. Like we are the same. And inside at our core, we love all the same things. We love each other. We are very the same, but it's like, I don't know. She's living this free life in a way that I never would have.
She's also at NYU, where that's just kind of like
everybody's. Par for the course. Everybody is. Yeah. They wear their, Yeah, that's true. And maybe that is true. Like, I wonder if she'd gone to Georgia, how her life would look different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That would be a really interesting.
Like the college culture down here. Yeah. Is the sororities, the football games, you know, all that. The monogrammed cups. I don't even know if they still do monograms.
Yeah, you're right. She recently told me, like, cut off all her hair. Her hair was a huge part of who she was. She had big, long hair. Like
Beautiful hair.
Beautiful hair. She cut it off. She went to a place here in Atlanta to cut it. The guy was kind of like, you don't want to go that short. You have really curly hair. You don't want to go that short. She went to a place in New York and the lady was like, oh my God, genius. We're cutting it. This is going to look amazing.
Oh, wow.
And she literally... I mean, I'm talking like it's short against her scalp and it looks fucking awesome. But she partly was just like, I don't even want that defining thing. It's like, why do I have this? It's work, it's effort. Like she's stripping away all those things that again, like I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because I would have been too scared to do that. And it's just, I don't know, like it's fun to live with people like that because
there is a fearlessness though to being in your 20s.
There is a fearlessness, right?
Like I wasn't scared of much of anything, just like living my life. Like, I mean, hell, the number of times I should have died just from being out like one night at the bar and walking home by myself and like doing all these things. Like, who was I?
I know.
But I was scared to make moves like she's making, like physical appearance. Like, no
moves.
way.
I know. But I want to be more like that. Like I want to be, especially as I'm getting older, it's like you feel this sense of like people associate youth. Beauty is really just youth. Or being feminine is really just youth.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know. I want to get more freedom. And because I feel good. It's like, I feel beautiful. I feel beautiful. I feel like I'm getting older and coming into myself more.
Right.
But it's yet like society sees it so differently. You know?
It's interesting too about like you mentioned how Tate doesn't shave her armpits. And like I've recently, like in the past year, given Kaylin a razor and I've just been like, you can use it if you want to.
Yeah.
You know? And because I don't want that to be like, you know, I did that so that I didn't get made fun of.
I know. Right.
But like,
why do we?
Like kids are going to do that these days.
I don't know that they are either. Cause it's like, why don't men do it?
Right.
But why?
I know,
so curious.
That has been a question too, because Brecken's kind of like, well, wait a minute, what about me?
Yeah, should I be shaving? Exactly. I mean, sure, if you want to.
He was trying to show me the slightest hint of a mustache the other day. I'm like,
dude, you got like a minute.
Everybody.
We all have that. I don't know. I think too, like our book club book that we're reading, All Fours, has made me like start to see things a little differently.
Yeah.
You know,
I know we've got our book club tomorrow night, and I guess this will air after our book club, but I'm really curious to see what everyone's take is, because I had so much like back and forth emotions with that book. Like sometimes I'm like rooting for her, and then other times I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing?
But do you ever think too, like one of the things I thought about is that it is like you get older, if you're between the ages of 40 and 50, and this is when I was coming out, I said to my therapist, nobody's done this. I'm alone in the world. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't know one woman who's done this. And I remember her being like, it's just not true. Like, there are lots of women who start to feel this way, but also you should be rediscovering yourself between the ages of 40 and 50, 60. Like, you should be redefining what it is to be Allison Vaccaro. Like, if you aren't, are you asleep? Wake up.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be some term of time. You know, men they have a, midlife crisis, quote unquote, and it's sort of just like this acceptable thing. But women, we just kind of have to like quietly get older, and there's no like space to be like, I am kind of freaking out. My hormones are changing. Everything. I feel differently. Maybe I don't want this job anymore. Maybe I don't want to do the thing I was doing for the last 20 years. Maybe I'm gay. Maybe whatever it is. And it's just like, why aren't we? That should be celebrated. If you aren't making moves, I'm afraid you're sleeping.
Yeah. That reminds me of this Mel Robbins quote that I just saw the other day and I wrote down. But she said, when your past is in your present, you can't create a different future.
Okay, say that. Let me say that again.
When your past is in your present, you can't create a different future.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like if you're just gripping on so tightly.
Yeah, if you're living in this past, if you're the same person you were, that same sorority girl that you were in college, who are you at 50?
Do you know women? Like, I can think of a woman right now off the top of my head who's an old friend of mine before I moved down here that is just that. She will go through her whole life. She won't question anything. She will have the same faith, the same everything. It's easy to be her because there's no depth of introspection. No depth.
And what's funny is you're mentioning like the being asleep thing. Like, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Like it was
autopilot.
It was doing everything that was expected of me. It was not like allowing myself to
live,
to think deeper on my sexuality and what I wanted. And kind of what we were talking about at the end of the last episode, that shame that comes with like being into sex and like enjoying yourself.
Right. What's wrong with you?
What's
like,
wrong with
like
you?
It?
You like it?
Yeah, that's weird.
This is just a favor to our husband.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all kind of coming up for me at this stage of my life. I would say like 6-7 years ago when you and I, how long has it been? 6 years?
It was 2000.
It's got to be 7 years.
When we met?
Okay.
Yeah. 2018.
Okay. So it's like that was the awakening then of just like this, my sexuality it's becoming so compelling for me. Whereas it wasn't before. I loved my life. I loved the kid. I just wanted to do that life. I wanted babies. I wanted all of it. I still do. So it's like my sexuality became so much more compelling. And that was kind of my awakening of like, there's got to be more than this. Yeah. And it's like, I'm feeling maybe a little bit of that again in this new being alone again.
Phase.
Yeah. Of like, I know that there's things showing up for me that I'm getting excited about because I think my life was kind of small in a way.
And it's, as you get older, it is kind of like you start to feel that time crunch.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that when I was starting to realize that I was gay, and I was just like, there's not that much more time.
I know.
For me to
make
do
the moves.
This.
Right.
Like if I wait until my kids are in college, I'll be in my early to mid 50s.
Then what?
But it's kind of funny. Like my perspective has changed on that since.
Yeah.
And, I used to think of mid 50s as like really a lot older. Now,
right.
No way.
I know. Like our friends are all in their
it's all in how you make it and how you live your life.
Right.
If you want to be the mid 50s, it's like, oh, I'm an empty nester. My kids are out of the house and now we're just going to sit around and garden all day.
Right. Although that does sound really nice.
I mean, it does sound a little nice. Although I can't keep any plants alive. I've decided I should just stop.
Oh shit. If the girl who came to our party that was into plants, I need to have her help me. Like you get to choose. It's a mindset. And if and even like choose to do it how you feel comfortable doing it. It doesn't mean that I have to go to Second Friday again till 2 a.m. It can mean that I have community with all of you until midnight.
Right.
We have a great night. We have great conversations. I mean, I learn something new about these women all the time. Like I'm like, you guys are fucking fascinating. All of them.
I mean, I learned that Mariana knows my aunt.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's wild. Small world. How the hell?
I know.
Because I guess it's South Georgia. Why?
My aunt was a school teacher for a long time. So.
Okay. Oh, and she went to that school?
Small town.
Okay. Got it. The town where her family is from sounds Gilmore Girls, which is like, I love that like thought of Stars Hollow, of like the little town general store, the farms. It sounds really kick-ass.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, we had a lot of people that I was learning all kinds of things, but the plant woman was like an expert on plants. And I'm thinking now that I've relocated, I need kind of someone to tell me where to put stuff so it doesn't die.
I know. Yes. I know. Like my house gets a lot of sun, especially in the backyard. Yeah. So it's like stuff is just being like burned to death. Right. And I realize that like part of it is my role in it, that I'm not out there watering the plants all the time. I need to set up some sort of system where I just like turn it on and it waters everything. You know, like hoses and all that stuff. Because I really want to have like nice plants around my house.
I know.
But when I spend $170 at Pike Nursery and then it's all dead in 2 months,
it's infuriating.
It's like, I know they'll take returns, but I feel so dumb being like, I killed it.
I killed it again. I killed it again. Yeah.
Now, some were eaten by deer, though, too. It'll say deer-resistant plants, but they don't give a shit.
I can't believe you have deer up there.
Oh, but there's so many deer.
Damn, that's amazing.
Like, and bunnies. Like, there's constantly bunnies in my backyard.
Wow.
So, I'm just out here like, what is it, Snow White?
I know, you're out there. Snow White. It's Snow White. Well, what else? What else do we want to talk about? I like the idea, though, that this transition and being open to the different feelings and like exploring it, and kind of the book. I don't know how many of you have read it, but you should. All Fours is that like these transitions are happening all the time. Like even when you're 30, you're having babies or you're not. And like, there's all these different, you're getting a job, you're out of college. Like our whole life is just a series of these transitions. And it's like, how do you bounce back after or make it better than the last?
Like letting go of that, the way that you were raised and all those like things that you were taught that aren't necessarily your opinions.
Right.
They're what you were told to think. And I think that's a really hard thing for a lot of people to let go of. I just saw a video earlier today about this woman who was sharing a story about when she was 12 years old, she met a 16-year-old lesbian.
Okay.
And they had a relationship. Okay. And she's basically saying this 16-year-old groomed her into being in this lesbian relationship, and that we need to save our children and all this stuff. Meanwhile, she had a very toxic relationship with an abusive father.
Oh, but he gets a hall pass.
He gets a hall pass. Yeah. Like, it's not his fault, that he was, maybe making you want to seek love from other places.
Right.
And it's like, and also you could be bisexual, lady. Like,
just open your fucking mind.
Open your fucking mind. Yeah. Like that relationship was probably very valid and felt safe for you at that time. Totally. And a 16-year-old is also a kid. I don't know.
Yeah, that's somebody. 16 is a baby. That is little. That's only a little bit bigger than Reed. Like that's a baby.
Right. Now, should you be hooking up with a 12-year-old? No. But even so, why are we blaming the 16-year-old and not the dad?
I know, for sure, 100%.
And here she is in her, I guess, 40s now with 2 daughters, sharing the story about how she was groomed. And it's like we're villainizing the wrong people in this situation.
And really, if you go back through your childhood, at least now, like I think nowadays we're so much more aware of like what our kids are up to. I think like Owen especially, like when he would be working on a set, I never had my eyes off of him. Like I would, like you hear about these stories of like kids stuff happening. But I think we're so aware now that the world is scary. So we're all over our kids in a way that like my parents weren't. I did whatever the hell I wanted. I was gone. So I don't know. Like I do think if you go through an upbringing, there's shit. Like every friend of mine can tell you a story about some crazy creepo guy that did some weird thing. Absolutely. It's like, I guess it's just nobody gets by unscathed.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like those situations come up.
Yeah.
You know, who has not encountered a creepy man along the way?
Yeah.
I was, I think, 14, and there was this like 20-something guy, and this was during like a modeling convention or something, who was like all like following me around, wanting to sit next to me, all this stuff. Actually took me to dinner.
What?
And my mom allowed it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, why did your mom say she allowed it?
It
was back then. Like it was the time. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
I think she was like impressed that this guy was interested in me.
Oh my God.
Like, but looking back on it, I'm like, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's funny you're saying that.
He was at least 20 years old.
So we're Catholic, and my sister and I went to Catholic school, and there was like a priest that had all the girls over to some overnight at something, and so they all went. My sister's like, we brought alcohol. It was like they were in high school, all these girls, and this guy, the priest. And we found out like years later, I even in my 20s was like, Mom, that's so weird that Father John like had the girls overnight. Like, weren't you guys like, what the hell? And my mom's like, no, we never even thought about it. Like, whatever. But sure enough, like we did see that he got arrested years later for something. and I literally sent it to my mom. I'm like, Mom, check this out.
Weird.
It's totally
and
weird.
I'm always telling my kids this. I'm like, okay, that age difference, that 10-year age difference, not that big of a deal when you're an adult.
Yeah.
You know? But right now, if someone
weird.
is older than you, it is not, you guys are not on the same level.
No.
It is not right.
No.
And actually just the other day, Kaylin was invited to go to a youth group thing on a Wednesday night, you know, like they do. And the mom was sweet, texted me about it. She's like, they're going to have pizza. Like, it'll be fun. There's some other girls going. And I like immediately, like my body is just like, I don't want to send my kid to church.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, this is quite an assumption to make too, that like, I just want to send my kid off to this church. Also too, my immediate thought is youth groups.
Pedophiles.
They don't have the best reputation. It's like a Boy Scout troop. You know?
I never knew that about youth groups. Catholics don't have like youth groups the way Christian people do.
Oh, really? I mean, it was a big thing. Like when I was growing up, I would go to like, I guess it was a Catholic church. I would go to like a Wednesday night youth group thing with a Catholic church.
Maybe it was Atlanta, just mine Catholic thing.
Where I'd go make out with my boyfriend.
Exactly. You guys were up in the locker room getting it on.
Pretty sure that's the only reason why I went. But I don't know. It was just like, okay, you're assuming that I agree with your religious beliefs for one.
How could she have done this though? Let me. How could she have asked you in a way that's like not?
That's a good point, because I'm not out here saying like, oh, you shouldn't invite my kid. You know, like it was a nice invite. Yeah. But contrary to that, there is like, you know, the organization PFLAG, which is Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Not the best name in the world, but it's an ally organization.
Okay.
It is for parents with kids that are gay. And it's a way for the kids to kind of get together and have some community, and also for the parents to get together and have community and be like, my kid's gay and this is hard sometimes.
Got it.
You know? So what if Kaylin wanted to go to an ally meeting for PFLAG?
Okay.
And me, without presenting any context to it, just said, hey, Kaylin wants to invite your daughter to go to this group.
Right. Say more though.
They serve pizza.
Yeah, they serve pizza. How do you? But could you say like, I'm just trying to think about like I don't get offended easily, but like how could you say to her like, hey, I don't know your politics on this, but just wanted to throw it out there. No worries if you're not into it, but we're going. I mean, is that how you do it? Okay, me too.
If I was to invite to PFLAG,
yeah, or the church
and
thing.
She's not going to PFLAG. She doesn't. I don't think give you that much. But I guess my whole thing is there's the assumption
that you're a Christian,
that everybody around you is Christian.
Yeah.
So what if we did the same and assume that everybody's an ally, and everybody would like want to show up to this thing. Now, this woman, I replied to her and I just said, thanks for the invite. We've got plans tonight, or we can't make it work tonight, but thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't get mad at, and I wasn't mad. It just was like put things into perspective for me in that moment
of like, this is acceptable, mine isn't really.
Right.
Or maybe it is. We don't know, but yeah.
Maybe it is, but I don't know.
I remember one time somebody invited my kids to this thing, and it was the same thing. It was like a church. I think it was like a camp, actually, like a summer camp. And they were like, hey, do the kids want to do it? It's like a fun summer camp. The kids at school, or a group is doing it. Do your kids want to go? And of course, I don't think like you. I was like, yeah, sign them up, like send them away. Let's go. They're in. Like they were little then. So I signed them up. And I remember then kind of thinking, we're Catholic and this is Christian. I don't know, like, is it going to be weird and different? So then for them, I still didn't, they were going, I signed them up. So, but I took them, and then I remember picking them up, and they like fucking loved it. Like they came out sweaty. They'd been playing super hard. They had like set up tents. It was like supposed to be like a camp inside. I mean, my kids thought it was the fucking bomb. And Chris and I were both like, oh shit, like they are way into this Christian camp. We're about to lose them.
That's so funny.
I know, like they like loved it. They must do some fun shit there at these Christian camps.
That's the thing is like Kaylin wants to go to summer camp. Her friend went this past summer, had a blast.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to go, but I want to go to the same one that my friend's going to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I would have loved to have gone to summer camp when I was a kid.
Summer camp's a blast.
A thing for me. And I look it up and it's a Christian camp. And I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. I don't mind if you're in say in a prayer before you eat your meals, that kind of thing. But no, this has like full on like Bible study and like you're condemned to eternal hellfire for being a sinner.
Okay.
Like their beliefs are like written out on the website. Can't do it. And I was like,
too bad, man.
And then I spent probably like 30 minutes deep diving on the internet trying to find another summer camp in Georgia that offers the same thing for only a week too, that asterisk, because the other one, the one I did find was 2 weeks. And I'm like, that's too long.
Yeah.
But every other one is Christian based.
Damn. Okay.
And I'm like,
I would only be scared. I would only be scared that they were going to say bad things about gay people, but
that's just it.
Yeah.
I don't want my kid to be subjected to that.
This camp was more just like loud singing, and they were like, I don't know. The kids freaking loved it. I mean, Chris and I both were like, holy shit, these kids.
Which one was it? Do you remember?
It was somewhere near Cumberland Mall. I just remember it felt so far to drive them. And I regretted it immediately.
I want to say this one was like wind shape or something.
Okay. I have no idea.
I don't know, but it looked cool. It definitely looked cool, but I don't know. I'm probably being like too over the top here, like too paranoid about it, but I do worry about them. Like, what if they go away for a week and it's just like pounded in their brain that being gay is wrong?
That's my fear.
Like, my mom is gay.
Yeah, I don't know that happens anymore, but it very well might.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like that would be my fear.
I mean, I guess
like
I
they
could
go.
Ask them, what's your policy on gay people?
Yeah, but it's complicated out there, man.
It is.
There's always going to be someone saying something about something. Exactly. You know, I mean, it's just, God damn. Can't we all just be nice to each other?
Can't we be nice to each other, please?
Right. It's terrible.
And yeah, I guess I want to also add, like, I have nothing against someone being religious and being happy with
me neither.
That and the community they build through that avenue. Like, wonderful. That's great. Awesome.
I totally agree.
But please don't judge other people in the process.
Yeah, absolutely not. And if you're a good Christian, hopefully you're not judging other people in the process.
Be actually like Jesus.
Yeah. But I do have feelings. I know I've said this before, but my parents were religious. They're still religious. I went to Catholic school. I went to church twice a week, sometimes actually 3 times a week, twice during the school week, once on the weekends. But I do feel this like peace around, like when I go home for the holidays and we go to Christmas Eve Mass, like I very much am thankful for that cornerstone of my childhood. Yeah. I feel a lot of gratitude that my parents like put the effort into it. It gave me comfort. It still does. I pray. I feel it gives me comfort still as an adult. And sometimes I feel bad that I've really kind of not, my parents do a lot of that with my kids, but I haven't.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a balance. And like you're saying, like the Christmas Eve service, I've done that a lot in my life and I've always enjoyed it and thought it was really great. And I think it's a great way to kind of like take away from the commercialization of Christmas and really like realize what it's about.
Yeah.
And I I love that kind of stuff.
Right.
I just don't like when it's like every move you make, you've got to be like, oh, please don't strike me down, God.
Yeah, I know. And there's something weird about I don't even want to get into it. I don't want to offend anybody.
I know, we could go on. I'm a very...
We better stop.
Passionate about this topic.
I know. I don't mean you. I wouldn't offend you. I'm saying just the people listening.
I think we would agree.
Yeah, we would likely agree. But, well, I love you, my friend, and I'm excited for book club tomorrow. And I guess that's all I have. Yeah,
we're gonna have a blast. And I would never have read this book in a million years without the push from the book club. So
yeah. I told Melissa that we're going to kick off book club with talking about how often she masturbates and how she doesn't, which brings her the most pleasure.
Well, because I said I was going to kick off book club with like my take, and then you pointed out like,
it's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. I'm literally going to start with Melissa. Tell us how, when, and why. She's embarrassed. You guys, she can't look at me right now.
I'm already embarrassed. I'm just going to be like, my time here is limited. I can't believe she paid that much money to redo a hotel room.
Yeah, there's that too. But if you have it, you have it. All right, later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandalli@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Alli, ALLI, @gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.